Doug, thank you for joining us, my friend. How are you?
What's up, Doug?
Doing great, guys. Good to be here. I was almost late today. Firstly, I had to get permission to do your show from the people in Dark Shadows you've never heard of.
Right.
And then I felt the need to rush out and buy JD some Ben Gay for the joints he had to have dislocated, making excuses for Trump's latest ridiculous snakes on a plane fabrication.
All right, Doug, let's talk about that first since you brought it up. So Laura Ingraham is interviewing him about this, Men in Black scenario. He gives no evidence or information. He says, I'll tell you sometime, quote. And then when pressed on it by reporters with these men in black that are on airplanes that apparently control Joe Biden, too, that's what he believes, again, he gives no information. So, I mean, what do you make of this? I mean, is this for real? Is this just a norm?
It's so obvious he's lying and pulling stuff out of his rear. I mean, the first day he says, well, I can't tell you anything about it. It's under investigation. The next day he says, well, I'll talk to the person who said it and see if it's okay to tell you. The first day he said the person was flying to Washington for the RNC. The second day he said they were flying out of Washington. Right. I mean, it's just so obvious a lie that anyone could, I don't know. JD, you got to be in pain today for how you just...
What's up?
Dislocated your joints, making excuses.
Actually, I feel okay. I don't need any Ben Gay, but thank you for being so.
Well, then you're in better shape than I am.
I am in pretty good shape, but thanks for being concerned.
He changes his story. He doesn't even know where the planes are going. He shows no evidence that the administration...
Well, not to mention the fact that it's been well documented for 3.5 years. He's a pathological serial liar. Your default position on everything he says should be that he's lying.
The evidence here is of what's been going on nationwide with how there's all these various people who, whether they're part of Antifa or BLM, and they're getting money from somewhere to every single night go out and just cause problems. And we saw what happened in D.C. We saw what happened in Kenosha. We had the woman on the phone who talked about how people, and I've said this before, who people were driving in with blacked out license plates. That's what he's discussed. That's what he's talking about.
Doug.
Obviously, was his delivery great? Of course not. But he can't.
He was talking about snakes on a plane.
No, he was talking about a plane full of those particular people that was going to a destination. And you're right. He did first.
Where's the evidence for that?
He did first say it was the RNC, and then he said it was leaving from the RNC. So maybe it's happened 2 different times. I don't know. We'll see.
Some mini
but he did say,
Brian,
he did say,
Ben Gay, quick.
I don't need any Ben Gay, Doug. He did say there was an investigation ongoing, and obviously it's a very private thing or a confidential thing. So we'll see what happens.
So I gotta ask,
what's up?
Do you ever
What's up,
get
Doug?
to the point where you kind of shake your head and say, "I can't believe I defended that"?
I don't recall.
I can't believe I defended that. No, I don't get to that point. But at times I do say to myself, he didn't do this the way he should have done it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, yeah, he should have told the truth.
Yeah.
Again, Doug, it would be different if all these different things were happening all over the country.
All right, so hang on a second.
Wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
Both of you, hang on.
I would say this is weird.
If it wasn't that, JD, he'd be lying about something else. That's what he does.
Doug, true or false, Mike Huckabee, Rand Paul, and several other, not just congressmen, senators, people that were at the RNC, they were basically heckled and harassed.
Nothing to do with what we're talking about.
No,
I don't recall.
It has everything to do with what we're talking about. We saw it take place, Brian.
It has nothing to do with people on a plane being controlling Joe Biden. Nothing to do with what we're talking about.
We're not talking about controlling Joe Biden.
That's what Donald Trump was talking about.
But I will say this, Joe Biden has still never talked about Antifa in a negative way.
Hold
not
on.
once. He has never condemned Antifa, not one time.
JD, hang on a second.
So that's very odd, considering how much violence and how much damage to these cities that Antifa has been actively involved in causing. I'm very surprised that Joe. Also, if you go to Antifa.com, it goes straight to Joe Biden's campaign page.
JD,
just saying.
Take a deep breath.
So is Antifa controlling Joe Biden? No, but I don't understand, and I think a lot of America doesn't understand why he hasn't mentioned them at all in a negative way.
So JD, if I could please chime in.
Sure,
Doug,
please chime in.
So the reason why I brought that up is because it was the President of the United States who said that, JD. I know you don't want to deal in reality, but the President of the United States said that these people that are on these planes are controlling Joe Biden.
Well, hold on a second. I interpret what the President of the United States says, Brian, obviously.
Please let me finish.
I give my own interpretation.
Please let me finish my statement as you interrupt me again, okay? Please. The President of the United States, in an interview with Laura Ingraham, said that he was told that these people on these planes control Joe Biden. Now,
so when you address me and say I don't want to deal in reality, then I can't respond to that because that's what you did there.
Well,
you made a statement, and
I said that,
and then you insulted me.
The reason why I
but
said
so now
that,
you can insult me, and if I respond, I'm interrupting.
Here we go again.
That's what you did do there, Brian. I'm just letting you know, and Doug listened to it as well.
Okay, let me know when I can talk. The reason why I said that is because I brought up the fact that they're controlling Joe Biden, and then you dismissed it. Okay, if you go to the Antifa.com page, it goes to the Biden page. Is that what's going on here? Is it possible that someone set that up to make Biden look bad? You think Antifa has an official web page? It's just idiotic here, man. So I want to play Brett Baier because Brett Baier asked Mike Pence, Doug, and I want you to respond to this, what Trump meant by this snakes on a plane stuff. I want you to listen to this. Let's go ahead and play that cut.
Well, I think what the president's referring to is actually what we heard in many of the cities. That I know in Detroit there were a large number of arrests several weeks ago, and the vast majority of people were from out of state. The same thing occurred in arrests that took place in recent cities. I mean, there's something going on here where the radical left, these anarchists and Antifa are moving people around the country, and it's one of the reasons that the Justice Department is looking into where is the funding for this coming from.
All right, that's exactly what I just said and what I said last segment.
I wanted Doug to respond.
Basically verbatim.
Okay.
Okay.
Verbatim. I wanted Doug to respond to that. Doug, can you please respond?
Sure. All we have to look at is how he started it. I think what the president meant was, I mean, if you have somebody in the highest position in this land that you have to begin everything you say with, well, I think what he meant was, maybe he shouldn't be there. Maybe we should have someone there that doesn't have to be interpreted and ghost whispered.
Yeah, I agree. JD?
I give my interpretations of what Donald Trump says, and I have for a long time. And clearly so does Mike Pence. And we basically had the exact same interpretation.
This is what I think.
And I feel pretty good about that, actually. Yeah,
Doug,
exactly.
Doug, you think that's fair to have to say, here's what I think he meant. Here's my interpretation. Doug, what do you think about that?
No, it's lickspittles like Mike Pence and people who continue to make excuses for Donald Trump by telling us what he meant when he obviously didn't mean that is why we're at where we are today.
Why do you think he didn't mean that, Doug?
What's that?
Why do you think he didn't mean that? What do you think he meant then? What do you actually think he meant?
He didn't mean anything.
That Joe Biden is being
pulling stuff out of his behind like he always does, and that's obvious by the fact that his story changed in two distinct areas.
Can I just ask?
So do you think that he's being controlled?
Flying to Washington, flying out of Washington, I can't tell you it's under investigation. Well, let me speak to the person who said it. He just riffs. He is the consummate bullcrapper, and he's always doing it.
Again, so what do you think that he actually meant? Do you think that you ever seen the movie The Princess and the Frog? There's a character in there. He's a voodoo master, and he's controlled by shadows. Do you believe that Donald Trump thinks that particular character or a character like that is actually controlling Joe Biden?
Well, hold on a second, JD. It goes back to what Trump said.
No,
right?
I asked Doug a question.
I understand, but what you're referring to, and I'll let Doug answer your question, but what you're referring to is it goes back to Donald Trump saying that the men in black were controlling Biden. That's what we're talking about here, Doug, right?
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's just more crap that Trump is pulling out of his behind.
Again, that doesn't answer my question.
That's all he does.
What
and try
do you
and
think?
Give it credence by justifying it, defending it, or explaining or interpreting what he meant is doing a disservice to this country. And if I can say one other thing, whether we're talking about snakes on a plane, people in dark shadows, whatever we're talking about, what we are ignoring is the inherent danger and threat Donald Trump presents to this democratic republic. And I don't know if we've ever gotten into that, but that's what we should be most concerned about.
How is that?
The guy is a pathological serial liar. He is a lifelong criminal, con man, and grifter. He is a malignant narcissist, and he is a authoritarian dictator wannabe.
And when I think authoritarian, I think someone that is in the government, or we'll call it totalitarianism. I think someone that's in the government that tells one group of people to do something and that they can't do, and then they do it themselves, kind of like Nancy Pelosi, who went to the salon, or Steve Sisolak, who decided to go and hang out at a bar and listen to live music without a mask on. That's what I think.
I have a counter
under those circumstances.
Go ahead, Doug.
That's what I think about that.
Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, my counter is I am more concerned about someone who is in the top position of this land, who for 3.5 years has gone out of his way to destroy confidence in every institution in this country necessary for this democratic republic survival.
You know, I would agree with you with being concerned.
To not going to a bar, destroying a democratic republic.
No, I'm talking about being just a giant hypocrite, and what is good for me is not good for thee, and do as I say, not what I do, not as I do. That's what I'm talking
and
to, Doug.
You can keep saying that,
and if the United States, I'm not distracted from anything at all.
This country,
no, if the United States was a country,
does not present the danger to this country. Trump does.
Are you kidding me? Nevada has the highest unemployment rate. Honestly, Doug, Steve Sisolak's about to get recalled. That's going to happen on September 11th. It's going to take place, and it's going to be successful. The entire state of Nevada hates Steve Sisolak because of how poor of a job he's done with this and how many people are unemployed. I mean, it's not even close.
And I would danger Trump presents.
Well, what I'm saying is, Doug.
Yeah, but you're not answering my question.
Okay, we'll talk about the military then. Donald Trump has got.
We won't. Let's talk to this country.
Let's talk about Donald Trump, who was supposed to be the guy who put us in all these different wars, who was the Antichrist, who was going to end the world, who started
your excuse why it's okay for him
what I'm saying. You talk about
destroying our democratic republic.
How is he?
Bull. He started a civil war in this country.
He didn't start a civil war in this country, Doug.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. Yes, really.
Okay. Well.
I would argue that mainstream media. I would argue that mainstream media was more involved in getting people to hate Donald Trump because they refuse to report the good things he does. And they only report the bad things he does. They only focus on the negative things he does. That's not true at all.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
All right, so one person at a time.
So
Doug,
when they report that he's lying about his snakes on a plane story and said that one day it was under investigation, he couldn't say anything, the next day he's going to talk to the person, one day they're flying into Washington, the next day he's flying out, the media reports that, they're doing that to hurt Trump? No, they're reporting the truth that he is a pathological serial liar.
Doug. No, they are not, Doug. And what he said,
yes,
there is obviously some credence to what he said. Look at what's been going on for 4 months. Mike Pence said it. I said it. There have clearly been people that are being paid to cause problems all over the United States, and they're most likely associated with Antifa. So the question is, who is paying for these people? Why are they being flown all over the country? Why are they going to places like Kenosha, where suddenly something with Jacob Blake happens?
JD, let's let him respond to what you're saying. Go ahead, Doug.
Let's say that's all true. It is a drop in the bucket compared to the inherent danger Donald Trump presents to this democratic republic, and it is a distraction so that you won't focus on the big picture. The big picture is he is a danger to this country, and if he is reelected, you can kiss your democratic republic goodbye.
What do you mean kiss your democratic republic goodbye? Elaborate on that. Like the Constitution just goes away?
I'm trying to think how to word this.
Yeah,
yes,
please do.
Even more so than what he's done thus far. JD, do you have any explanation for the number of qualified, competent career public servants he has fired and replaced with people who are loyal to him, the number of inspectors general he's fired so that there's no accountability, the subpoenas he's ignored? Why do you think he's fighting so hard to keep his tax returns private? This guy is dirty, he is a criminal, he belongs in jail, and he knows it, and he will do anything to stay out of jail. That's why he's trying to destroy confidence in our electoral process.
Doug, you saw what happened with mail-in ballots. There was 223,000 ballots sent to the wrong address.
Okay, and so
just
what?
In Nevada.
And
just
so
in
what?
Nevada.
Are dogs and cats gonna fill them out?
In Patterson, New Jersey, they had to redo the entire election.
So what?
In Michigan, there was 5,000 fraudulent ballots. I mean, there's been a lot of problems already. Clearly, we're not prepared to have an all-mail election. And there was an article that came out yesterday.
Zero.
What can he do to prepare us? How can
funding to go to the post office so that they are prepared, and anybody who wanted a free and fair election would do just that. He doesn't, so he isn't.
And prepared for what? Absentee ballots, or just giving every single person a ballot? Sending ballots to everybody.
Get more people to vote, not less.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and anyone across the United States can request an absentee ballot. They can be in the system, so they can't vote twice, and they can do that.
Again, we get back to the thing. So an excess number of ballots were sent out. So what? Are dogs and cats going to fill it out? No, they're probably going to end up in dumpsters.
There was a
12-year-old
dead cat that received a ballot
Donald
in
Trump
Georgia.
is trying to destroy confidence in this election.
Hold on, let me chime in here real quickly. By the way, we should also point that the universal mail-in ballots, it's only happening in a handful of states, not in every state. So we should also add that. You're making
one
it
of which is Nevada.
Okay,
well,
but it only
they're
happens.
trying to make it happen in Nevada.
Again,
it's not going to, but they're trying
I'll
to.
repeat it again. It only happens in a handful of states, and it's not happening throughout the country. I want to move on now, and I want to talk about Donald Trump's health. We remember the trip he made to Walter Reed. We never got the information on why he went to Walter Reed, and now we're learning that. According to some of former aides that were in the White House, that Mike Pence was told to be on standby. And you heard the answer he gave to Bret Baier. We played it, where he said, "I don't recall." Now, I want to play you Dr. Sanjay Gupta, because he weighed in on this on CNN, on the reasons why possibly the vice president would have to be on call. And then, Doug, I want you to respond to that. Have a listen to this.
Well, the story doesn't add up. I mean, still, even after all these months, the story still doesn't add up, in part for the reasons that you mentioned. This was a very unusual visit, as John mentioned, on Saturday. Dr. Comley got in the vehicle with the president. That doesn't happen. Typically, the physician, White House physician, is in a separate part of the convoy, the motorcade, because they need to take care of the president if something were to happen. Most things you can take care of in the White House, unless it really comes to some sophisticated imaging. Obviously, anything, as John mentioned, that would require anesthesia. And that's typically either the brain or the heart. That's typically what it involves. So we asked Dr. Conley about it at the time. And what he subsequently said is that the president did not have any chest pain, nor was he evaluated or treated for any urgent or acute issues. He did not undergo any specialized cardiac or neurological evaluations.
All right, so Doug, what do you make of that?
Well, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we all know that the White House is equipped better than most hospitals to look after people. And the fact that he went, the people at Walter Reed didn't know he was coming, it raises questions. But again, I would say I'm not so concerned about his physical health or even his mental health as I am his authoritarian dictator wannabe mentality. That's the danger he presents.
Fair enough. I want to ask you, Doug, from a liberal perspective, what do you make of Joe Biden's speech? And by the way, he's speaking right now live as well. He's giving a speech on reopening schools. But he spoke the other day, he spoke about the violence and the carnage, which is something that I think he absolutely needed to do. The difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and people could say, well, he should have said it 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, he should have said it 4 months ago.
Well, what a shocker.
Yes, he should have. And he did, because he thought it was actually up in the polling. And once the polling's changed, he finally says it. Because he stands for nothing, because he's an invertebrate.
Thank you.
He has no backbone, just like most Democratic politicians.
Actually, that's not true.
That is very true.
Issued a statement back in June where he condemned violence on both sides.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting to before JD interrupted me. What I was getting to was the difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is that Joe Biden was able to go after both sides of the aisle. He doesn't care. He said it himself. I'm paraphrasing here, but he doesn't care whether it's Antifa. He doesn't care whether it's a right-wing extremist group. He is condemning both sides, where the president of the United States actually retweeted and praised the good patriots in Portland, those that were in the Trump caravans. We know at least some of them were violent. Doug, what do you make of that?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I thought his speech was good. I think he knocked down a lot of Trump's lies. I think he needed to do it, and I commend him for it. I thought it was good. I thought his best line was, "Do I look like a radical socialist that's soft on terrorists?" Really?
He did say
that. I mean, try as he might, I don't know that Trump is being successful as portraying Sleepy Joe as an inherent danger to this country.
I would imagine that JD would probably disagree with that, right, JD?
Well, I mean, Joe Biden should have said something clearly a long time ago, and he chose not to. I mean, Kamala Harris said that beware, it's going to continue. Maxine Waters last year said that hold your politicians accountable. Ayanna Pressley a couple weeks ago, go take it to the streets, and that's exactly what's been happening. So, yeah, I think that Joe Biden is actually an inherent danger to this country, and I believe that Joe Biden would put us in a couple of wars. I believe he would destroy our trade deals that we've changed from Donald Trump.
You think Joe Biden would destroy our democratic republic and appoint himself king for life?
I think Joe Biden would turn us into a socialist/communist country.
Oh, please.
I think China would be very actively involved in our country.
We're going to continue to fund the military, continue to fund Medicare and Social Security? Wow, that's a danger.
No, giving every single person in the United States health care would be a giant issue, Doug. You know that. Giving free college to everyone would be a giant issue, Doug. You're aware of that, too. Destroying the suburbs or attempting to destroy the suburbs would be a giant issue as well. There's a lot of things we could talk about as far as policy, and next time you come on the show, we'll do that. But I think Joe Biden is a much larger danger to the country than Donald Trump is. Donald Trump has done a very good job. Russia, Trump. I mean,
Russia,
I'm sorry, Russia. I'm sorry, Russia. Russia, North Korea. These are very, very typically violent countries.
What has he done with Russia?
Built a relationship.
With a country that interfered in our election to help him get elected. Yeah, that's who we should nation build with.
Same with North Korea. Built a relationship there, preventing war.
Didn't. They ignored him and they continued their plans.
Preventing war, trying to get us out of Afghanistan, trying to get us out of Germany, trying to get us out of Iraq. You're aware that the war that George Bush started cost $7.7 trillion, aren't you, Doug?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I don't know the exact amount.
And all that money,
floated around,
and what has actually been accomplished from that? What's happened from there?
Are you aware of the fact, JD,
How about Joe?
Let him talk. Hold on.
We have more soldiers in the Middle East now than when Donald Trump first stole office?
I don't recall.
No, I'm not aware of that.
Yes, we have more soldiers in the Middle East now than when Donald Trump took office. All you're doing is repeating the lies that he repeats every day, and apparently they become implanted in his bases.
I'll tell you what a lie is. Joe Biden
He's done nothing with North Korea.
Yes, he has. He's
done
avoided
nothing
war.
As far as bringing troops home from the Middle East, they're all lies.
He has tried to bring troops home from the Middle East. He has tried to bring. Yes,
Tell
yes,
me
he
what
has.
He really
Yes, he
meant.
has.
Has to been gay.
He has tried to do these things.
He's also tried.
He has had resistance from trying to do these things.
He's also
just like Tim Scott has tried to introduce a police reform bill.
Well,
the Democrats turned that down. And Joe Biden, you talk about Donald Trump the liar. Joe Biden last week said that there was never any civil unrest or riots under the Obama administration.
By the way, let me just add something
false.
here, JD, if I may.
But no one talks about that.
The commander,
Daniel Dale fact checks. Daniel Dale, the weasel Daniel Dale fact checks Trump all day long. But Biden constantly lies.
If I can please comment now and just say that when you're the commander in chief, you shouldn't try. You should get it done, and you should do it. And by the way, I would also
None of the country works, Brian.
Excuse me. I would also say that Donald Trump has probably tried to sleep with Melania Trump, but I don't think they've even slept.
That's totally relevant.
I don't even think they've slept in the same bed since Barron was born.
In order to get things done, there has to be bipartisan support.
He's doing a good job of that.
When it's a split.
That's exactly right.
He's doing a great job reaching across the aisle.
And you know who'll do a better job than he will, Brian? Kamala Harris, who was the least likely senator to actually vote.
All right, Doug.
Support for a bipartisan bill.
Doug, we got it.
In the last 3 years. She's the most liberal senator the last 3 years.
Doug,
so she'll do a worse job than Trump did.
Doug, I'm sorry. I know you're our guest. I didn't know it was the JD show, but go ahead, Doug.
Okay,
I want to give you
the JD show.
I want to give you the last word, Doug. I got about a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting that one of the terms that trended on Twitter all day yesterday after Trump's tweet denying that he had mini strokes, it's like the cops come to your door and say, "What'd you do last night?" "I didn't rob a bank." It was just so funny that he was denying something that nobody had alleged. And for the rest of the day, the word "Strokahontas" trended on Twitter.
Strokahontas, I love that. Hey, Doug, I always appreciate it when you come on, my friend. I look forward to your show every Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. on KDW and my friend Doug Basham. Doug, thank you so much for joining us as always, and have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, Cole.
Hey, you guys do the same and keep that Ben Gay handy.
He will.
See you, Doug.
He will. Thanks, Doug. Always.